What's this thing where you're going to them for the commentary? What is that about? I mean, you shocked me when you did that a couple times.
It's actually really good commentary.
I know it is. Dr. Moster told me about it. Yeah,
Did he? Okay.
But let me ask you.
Well, it takes a philological approach, which I appreciate, meaning it's looking at linguistics and history and archaeology.
Okay.
Now, it then will insert its theology, right? But you don't have to accept the theology. Exactly. It actually separates those out.
Yep.
So here it says, it's on verse 17, do not think that I came, presupposes the existence of the opinion that is denied. So in other words, why would Yeshua say, do not think that I came to do X, Y, Z? Because there were people who thought that he came to do away with X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And so why would anybody think that? So let's discuss that. So I'm going to read on with the word biblical commentary. Now, bear in mind that part of this is an evangelical, you might even call fundamentalist commentary, but part of it is how do I put this, higher criticism. We talked about lower criticism, which is textual criticism. Higher criticism is what they call the top half of the page, and it deals with, okay, who wrote these things and why? And it presupposes that what's written is not divinely inspired or not the word of God. So I'm only going to read it not because I'm presenting that opinion, or I'm not because I'm presenting that as my opinion. This is what Word Biblical Commentary says, okay? He says, although it is unlikely that we are it is unlikely that we are to suppose that, like James, Matthew here opposes Paul, or an explicitly Pauline group. In other words, the assumption of the Word Biblical Commentary is that according to Paul, Yeshua did away with the Torah. He abolished the Torah. And according to the Word Biblical Commentary, James was opposed to this and upheld the Torah. In other words, it's arguing, and not just arguing, it's taking it as a given that there was a split in the early church between James, who said the Torah still stood, and Paul, who said the Torah was abolished. And so therefore, perhaps they projected the words into the mouth of Yeshua against Paul in order to say, do not think that I have come to do away with the Torah and the prophets. I've came not to do away with, to fulfill. That was a Jamesian idea contrary to Paul, okay? Now, they don't accept that explanation, but they bring up that explanation, which is maintained by other scholars. In other words, there's many scholars out there, very serious, learned scholars, who say that these words were fashioned in order to oppose what Paul was teaching and say, you know what, Paul? Yeshua himself said that he did not come to do with what you claimed he did. Now, I'm not saying that Paul did away with the Torah, right? I'm saying this is what they're saying, what these scholars are saying, what these Christian scholars are saying. And the Word Biblical Commentary mentions that as a possibility, but then kind of rejects it because they don't, they don't believe that there was a split really maybe between Paul and James, I guess, at least the author of this part of the commentary. He says, here it is fair to assume that Jesus' sovereign interpretation of the law was so out of step with contemporary interpretation, e.g. the Pharisees, that it seemed to many that Jesus was going against the law. In other words, they now say, no, when he said the Torah and the prophets, he didn't mean the Torah and the prophets. He meant the rabbinical interpretation of the Torah and the prophets. And according to the Word Biblical Commentary, he's saying, look, don't think I came to do away with the Torah and the prophets, even though I'm opposed to the rabbis.
Now, Nehemia.
Yeah.
Controversy. All right. So you're bringing the Word Biblical Commentary.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little frustrated with you.
Look, you brought the Christian commentary a few episodes ago.
But here's what you didn't read. Here's what you didn't read. He puts in parentheses, and this is why this is so confusing to me at times. I'm glad you said who it is that writes. He says that it seemed to many that Jesus was going against the law, parentheses. Indeed, at one level we shall see that he does.
Well, we'll get to that in future episodes.
So this is what I want to do, and bear with me. I just want to do two small things, because I actually had this before that statement of the commentary, and that is two words. I just want us to look at one of them. Can we just look at one of them?
Sure.
The word is you use the word to annul. Okay. Okay, lehafer. Can I just read a few verses?
Sure.
Where the exact same. The way that it is there, that he uses it there, are used in other places. I'm going to use the one in 26:44 of Leviticus. Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of the enemies, I will not reject them, nor will I so abhor them as to destroy them. And then, and this is the NASB, I believe, breaking, lehafer, my covenant with them, for I am Yehovah their God. Next one. Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai, the Archite, is better than the counsel of Ahithophel, for Jehovah had ordained to thwart Lehafer, the good counsel. And that's 2 Samuel 17:14. Just a couple more. For thus says Adonai Yehovah, I will also do with you as you have done, you who have despised the oath by breaking Lehafer. Again, you gave in the A group and the B group, and I think it is in the B group, they use Lehafer twice. In the A group, they use it once. So in other words, this is the word that we're using. The NASB is translated.
The other way, the B group has it once, A has it twice.
Has it twice. Two more. Now he despised the oath by breaking Lehafer, the covenant. This is Ezekiel 17:18, Zechariah 11:14. Then I cut in pieces my second staff union to break Lehafer. Now I'm giving you the NASB's translation of that word. One more I want to give. And hired counselors against them to frustrate Lehafer, their counsel all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia. That's Ezra 4:5. When you translated it, what did you say? Now, I mean, I've got Lehafer, to break, to annul, to what? How do you see the word?
So it's definitely used in the context of someone who is doing something that expresses that the covenant is no longer valid.
Okay.
So in other words, in Hebrew, you have this balance. You cut a covenant, that's karat, and lahafer is you abolish a covenant. Okay, so the abolishing the covenant could be by violating the terms of the covenant, or just saying it's no longer valid.
So here's the thing. So when I see that, so this idea of breaking. Now there's another word. I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to this or not, because it's the issue of it says do not think. That word, there's depth, Nehemia. I mean, we should do a Bible study on that word.
Oh wow!
I mean,
so I love Michael Rood has this beautiful teaching where he's talking about context and how important context is, because without context, you could say, well, Yeshua taught you not to think. What do you mean he taught me not to think? He says, do not think, right? But you got to keep reading. You got to read the full verse.
Yeah.
Right?